First of all, let me introduce me. My name is Pratik Srivastav. I'm an engineer, and though so I'm not interested keen in engineering part of my life. So I started this YouTube channel to get to new things about different characters who are involving in the Bollywood industry. So, sir, as we know, you have been one of the biggest, I should say, British actor who has been part of some Bollywood movies. Recently, you were being a part of some great movies like Kesari, and you are now working with in the film Indian 2, which is going to be one of the best film of 2021. You and Edward Sir has done a multiple movies. Even I think you have done one movie with Edward Sir. Even you are a great musician. I have listened to your videos and audios first of all, and that were great. So yeah. So sir, how you have been involved in the Bollywood business?
Well, it first started when I came here in 2010. I came here as a photographer. Before, I was an actor for 10 years in the States, in New York and LA, and then I got into photography and only did that for about 12, 13, 14 years. So that's what brought me to India initially, and to Bombay certainly, and starting this project about the Bollywood, the fraternity here. And so documenting that, capturing what life is really like for actors here, from a broad spectrum of, whether you're just starting out or whether you're, one hit wonder or megastar or theater actor or TV actor or whatever. So that's really, that's what not only brought me or kept me in Bombay, but then, I continued to come back to work on that book. And I met my wife here, so that also brought me back. And that sort of, those combined forces actually led to this first film. So this friend of mine, Tess, was casting this film. Oh God, no!
I think the letters about Mother Teresa, I guess. Yeah.
I could see it in my mind. The letters. And, she said, why don't you read for this thing? It's this British role. And, I'm from California.
Yes.
And I said, no, I really don't, I'm not interested in acting anymore. I'm just, a photographer now. And she said, no, you'd be great. And, anyway, so I thought, screw it. Let me just, I went in and I read for it and I ended up getting it, which was good because then I wanted to come back to, spend more time with my future wife. So that's really why I did the film. I wasn't that interested in acting per se, but spending more time with my future wife. So that's what brought me back. And I hated the experience because it was just so much waiting around, which is what I remembered from the old days, my old TV days. It was so much just waiting around, and I was so bored. And so I thought I'll never do this again. And then, sure enough, a few years later, then as we were getting married, my friend was working on this Dr. Banerjee film. And so anyway, long story short, I ended up doing that film right after we got married. And then a few years later, then I did Parmanu, because I was here launching the book, and my friend Shruti was casting this and said, please read for this. I said, maybe. It was always very reluctant. Like the first 3 films were very reluctant. But then when I was here shooting Parmanu, then it was clear that I was getting so many messages on Facebook, on I don't remember the Instagram, mostly Facebook, and I don't know how people got my cell number, but they got it and sent me messages. So I was booking TV shows and web series and more movies, and so it seemed clear that there was a lot of work that I could do here. And also coming from a place of, having been a trained actor and having been a working actor in the States, I wasn't just coming here sort of like, a white tourist who gets stopped on the street and said, hey, do you want to be in a film? I was actually bringing something more than my skin color than, to the role or to the project. So.
Do you think that's a thing that people of India, I can talk about Indian people, that they still think that, okay, the white people are more than us? in all terms. I say, I don't want to be sound racist, but yeah, there are some of little things that eventually I have seen, like people, when you go to Taj Mahal, people will be there, sir, ek photo. And that's the thing, people ask for photos or videos. Either you are an actor or not. I have seen people doing that, and sometimes it's not good, but sometimes yeah, that's make thing. But actually, sir, I have a crazy story. When I went to watch Parmanu with my father, and I was, I am a patriotic man, so I was like, when I have seen your, I was like, man, these Americans have that. They know how to change things. That's true, and you have done an American role. So yeah, I was seeing like that time when I am talking about the acting skill. Sir, I give you 100 out of 100. You make me hate you. That's the thing. You make me hate you. And I was only that time I started searching on him. Oh, I want to know him. Yeah, because Edward sir has been part of so many TV series and all, so we know him.
Yeah. He's been here for 12
more
years,
than 12. More than 12. He has done serials, so we know him. So they were great serials, and we know him. So that was the thing. But one more thing. After, like, I know that you have been, you have worked even with Sushant in Vyomkesh Pakshi. There was a small role of yours. Yeah, so you have done with like Vidyu Jamwal, Akshay Kumar, one of the biggest actors that industry has. So, sir, do you think like they like the how they treat you is the same way how they treat others? Like, is there any difference in the industry that you have been given any sort of privilege or not? That's my friend want to ask.
I mean, not. I mean, I wouldn't honestly know. I don't know how to answer that because I wouldn't. I don't know if they treat me differently or not. I really don't. I know that when I was interviewing people for the book, and my wife was helping me do the transcribing from some of the audio interviews, she was saying, wow, that person is putting on an accent. I won't say who it is, but a very big star was putting on an accent. Like, that's not how they normally talk. And I was saying, well, I don't know how they normally talk. I wouldn't know, you know. She said, no, they're really like putting on an accent for you. I thought, that's crazy. What? I'm not nobody, but I'm nobody. I mean, I'm nobody. So that they would need to impress at all. So, so I don't know if that's. I think there's probably some truth to. I mean, I've had that happen before where people want to take photos. I mean, that's it's sort of a cultural thing that I don't know.
So one thing that whenever I watch an American movie or a series, they are sometimes settling. Like, they have a flow. They don't break out. But in Bollywood culture, we have songs intentionally which are put for the audience. So how, like, have you ever been offered, like, you need to be in the part of this movie who has so many songs, and you have said no because you told me that you were not initially eager to do films? So has any movie come across that you have said no?
Oh, many. Yeah. And not because I wasn't interested in the project. I wasn't interested in the role because a lot of what we get, I mean, we're so stereotyped, of course.
That's true.
For good reason. And so, a lot of what comes across my desk, so to speak, is just the generic British bad guy, right? Which I just don't have any interest. I don't have any interest in doing anything generic. That's not to say that I haven't done it. I have done some things, and they've purely been for money. Because that's the other side of this whole thing, is that it's a business. I mean, it's I'm making my living doing this, and I mean, in addition to photography and other things, but I mean, it's you got to pay the bills and all of that stuff. So sometimes I've taken something where I thought, screw it, and every actor does. You say, well, we got to pay this bill and that bill, and so I'll take what it is. But usually, I try my best to avoid that stuff, and especially if it's something that's a 1 or 2 day role, I just won't do it. Just because it doesn't. it's of no, anyone can do those roles. Anyone can go in and say a line or two. So I'm for things that have more meat on the bone, or something that I can work with, something that I can contribute, feel like I'm contributing to. Like this one that I'm about to start shooting in a couple of weeks, Rocket Boys, which looks fantastic. In fact, I just saw the trailer today for Rocket Boys. It looks fantastic. And it's a great script, and we've had lots of, read-throughs with the director, and it's so, it's just high class, highly organized. It's a great, Nicola is a great producer, and I feel like really happy to be a part of it.
So apart from like Rocket Boy, has been one movie that you will say that intentionally I have choose this movie because of the role? Apart from this movie, in previous like movies you have done or web series?
Oh yeah, I mean, Parmanu was definitely for the role. I mean, that was a good role.
That I can assure it was a good role.
That was a good role. Byomkesh was, that was an interesting role. It was kind of the only main white guy, and it had some dimension to it. English medium 2 was just it was only a couple of days, but it was Irfan, who I was just a huge fan of, and this was the first film out of his recovery, and nobody knew what was going. Of course, nobody knew what was going to happen for the future, but that, they really, the casting directors were sort of saying, please, do this role, and I was like, I really don't want to do such a small role, but I did want to, at least work with Irfan once. Like that, it feels like every project has a different reason why, sort of a lead force of why you do it.
Just a slight bit that the movies which are produced in Bollywood are okay, but nowadays the movie which are produced in Malayalam or Tamil or the South industry itself, like RRR, and they are in a huge scale. Even when we are talking about Indian 2, yeah, I know that I talked about many actors who is going to be part of Indian 2, and they were saying shooting has not started and all the stuff, but they all are excited just because of Kamal Hassan sir, because he has known that he never gives up. That's the thing. So, sir, I will say you should watch Indian if you get time. That's a great movie.
Yeah, I will. It's at the top of my list.
Yeah, and RRR, sir. Sir, you can see the views of the teaser. Like RRR is such on a hype. I think it will broke the record of Bahubali easily. I think so because it is going to the movie who is being released in theaters, I guess.
I'm not sure. I had read that what do you call it, had bought it or bought the rights. An OTT had bought the rights, but maybe not. I mean, I know it's a huge. I mean, it's such a big action film. It's hard to imagine it on the TV screen.
I know. That's why I eventually watched it on. I want to watch it on theaters, on the big screens. Yeah, I know that it's cost sufficient to watch on OTT platforms, but eventually when it comes to some big movies, like I can't imagine watching Avengers Endgame on a laptop or a mobile phone. That's true. So I don't want to watch RRR on a laptop. That's the thing. People know that. And we all know that how South Indians are crazy about their film culture. So yeah, I think they won't agree if it comes on OTT platform. Apart from sir, the one thing that I want to ask, that there has been something that OTT is slowly like capturing all the market, and now films which supposed to be released on theaters are shifting towards OTT. What's your take on it? Like, is it good? Is it bad? Or is it in a gray zone?
Well, I just think it's just simply the way things are moving. I mean, they're being pushed obviously by the pandemic, but I think they were moving in that direction in any case. Because movies, the more people are at home, the bigger and better the TVs and the sound systems. You know, it just seems like, I mean, I will still want to go to the movies. You know, you want to go to the theater to see these big films like we're talking about. But for other films, you don't need to, you know? So I think we will see for these big action films, there's still going to be a place for them in the theaters. But for the other films, the smaller budget films, maybe it's just going to shift to OTTs and then sort of going to, you know, just migrate in that direction. I think it's just the way of the world. You know?
I think that's a thing that people are now shifting towards OTT, and that's a good thing. But eventually, film making was a big budget, big people provider job. But right now, like, it has been cut down to, like, there has been a lakhs of jobs which are going to be affected as OTT is going to come in picture. And that's a true point. Eventually, Mumbai has a 3.5% of economy dependent on it. Bollywood gives a lot of job to the people who come from different parts of India and even world. So, sir, one more thing that we should talk about is right now, like in the pandemic situation, how it's going to be the process that people are going to like do acting stuff. Because right now, again, I thought that cases are going to be increasing in some parts of India. So how it's for you, like how you are managing the acting schedules?
Yeah, I mean, after you know, this YRF shoot, that was in March. Then we got COVID, and then the lockdown happened. So I haven't really shot anything since then, except for this new Dudarshan TV show, which I shot 2 weeks ago, and that is it's a number of white roles. They need a lot of. It's a historical drama, a period drama. So there's lots of different white roles. So they're calling certain of us, you know, back over and over again to play different roles. So that's that'll be interesting. That was you know, everything now when you go to a set, everyone's pretty scrutinized. You know, everyone's wearing their masks, and that's the way it should be. I mean, but obviously actors can't wear them all the time. So that's just the way it is. So, and now I start shooting in a couple of weeks, like I said, for Rocket Boys. So I'm sure that's going to be the same, where everyone has masks, and that's it. I mean, even for the YRF film, you know, people were wearing masks, but still, you know, a number of people got COVID. So it just to be a part of our lives for a couple, you know, years to come. It's not going to be over anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that it's just going to be a disease like polio, that we will give drops to the small child, and that is going to be the process, because we don't think any other thing is going to be affected eventually. Nowadays we heard of some viruses which are coming, and that too, I don't think there should be enough support from other industries. But right now, I think Bollywood is being affected. Even the television circuit has been affected a lot. Like, I have seen shows are coming and they stop in between because of the COVID issues. Yeah, that's the thing. So apart from this situation, we should not talk about COVID for some time. But apart from the, I think, 5 year or 6 year of journey of your acting period, which film do you think has been contributed you to the most?
I should have a more rehearsed answer.
I think that's my fault. Next time I will give the questions. See, I have a process that I don't give questions to anyone till they ask for. So
no,
yeah.
No, I think it's hard to, you know, the films that I have, you know, I feel that I've played a bigger role in, not in terms of, just in terms of, you know, significance to the story. You know, like Kesari was supposed to be, or it was a bigger role. I mean, I shot more, and then stuff was taken out, and that's when you learn about the editing process, and you know, you know. So, and Akshay is very, from what I hear, very. He sits in the editing room and makes sure that things are the way that he wants them. Not to discount vision, but that's what I've heard. So there were the reason I did that role was that my character was much more sympathetic than what eventually we saw in the theaters. So that's why I did the role, because this guy was really a good guy, and actually he really was, the guy that I was playing was really a good guy. So that was, but Parmanu is the one that I feel I had the biggest contribution in, and ironically, or not ironically, but that's the one that I'm noticed for. At least every time I go to the airport, somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, were you in Parmanu?" So I feel like that one, probably is at the height. I can't think. I feel like that's the one that was probably the most significant role thus far. Yeah.